They are back. It's time for the Ethereals to go front and center, guys. I'm excited for this stuff, honestly. Seeing this endgame cinematic so far, I thought it was amazing. A great little, prelude to what's coming. The way Xal'atath reacted to the Ethereals getting the Dark Heart. I thought it was all great. Patch 11.2 could be a massive Ethereal raid, possible playable race. I think we go to Caresh, maybe. Who knows? Let's see what Dalaran Gaming has to say about what's coming in 11.2.
Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and with the final story chapters of the Undermine update, we now know where War Within is heading into, as the expansion is likely going to be diving into the world of Ethereals, possibly to the home world of Caresh. And based on all the information that we have so far, whether data mine information...
Honestly, when I saw this, I'm not sure if he's going to Caresh. I don't think he would be summoning a Void Lord. That's what Xal'atath wants to do. If they wanted that to happen, they would have just left the Dark Heart with her, right? And let her do her thing. This might be a portal to Caresh, or they're trying to repair Caresh. To me, this looks like a broken planet, maybe. Like, this is what remains. You can see some outlying rocks here. So this could be like what is left of Caresh, and that's what he's kind of looking at right now. You could even see here, it's a little bit rounded if behind my head. There's some roundedness right here, so this could be a planet that he's looking at. This could be their home world, and maybe they're going to try to use the Dark Heart to repair it. Who knows?
We have so far, whether data mine information that we knew about from a while ago,
it's the first time I watched
the story beats that are heading us towards the expansion of Midnight, eventually being this big Void versus Light expansion. It does look like 11.2 might be a massive Ethereal focus update.
I hope so.
Today, I really just want to take a look at everything we know so far regarding what 11.2 could possibly be, taking a look at the data mine content, the features that might be a cornerstone of this brand new update, some of the world changes and seasonal updates they're looking to do as part of the 11.2 season 3 content. And these, what seems like to be an Ethereal focused patch update, may be pretty massive, as it looks like they've actually been working on this thing for quite a little bit of time now. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for the patch 11.1, Season 2 content War Within, or future content updates like 0.5, 0.7, or 11.2 coverage, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in.
But before he gets straight into it, I do want to say the only other thing that I could see happening for 11.2 is a Rootlands expansion, right? We still haven't really dealt with the Haranir and all their shit. And we know that they're probably going to be a playable race. They're so easy for Blizzard to implement. They are just Night Elves. They are the Night Elf skeleton with a trolley-looking ass head. So they're so easy for Blizzard just to flip the switch and say, hey, you can be Haranir now. But before they do that, we need to get into their story. Now, there's the whole Rootlands, the old god blood. Deeper the roots will grow. Those are old Nazathian whispers and stuff like that. So that could be 11.2. But would I rather just go to Caresh and do some ethereal shit? Hell yeah, I would. Instead of going deeper underground, I'd rather go to another planet. That'd be freaking awesome. I'd love to see what Caresh used to look like, maybe what it currently looks like, maybe even what the Ethereals used to look like. Because remember, these guys didn't always look like little cloudy boys sitting in some bandages. These were an actual race of people. They had a physical form that wasn't ethereal-like. So maybe we actually get to see what they used to look like. That would be freaking cool.
So we know that currently patch 11.2 is in its internal testing phases over at Blizz. It's not available for us on the PTR for public testing, but they have been working on it internally. In fact, they've actually been really busy. Even before patch 11.1, the Undermine update got released, we found out that they were started making work on 0.5 update, which we took a look at on PTR recently, and hopefully that update will continue to get additional changes. But apparently they've also started working on 11.17, smaller update that precedes the Season 3 content, as well as we discovered that an 11.2 build does exist internally. So they already started working on content for the next few patches ahead of schedule, it seems. And it looks like they are getting really a lot of stuff done with it for a while now. It's been a couple of weeks since we found that build, and it looks like we'll be getting it sometime soon, but not for a good bit over on the PTR. But we do know that this major update of 11.2 is likely going to be a big Ethereal focused update, which is quite exciting. The ending of Undermine left us with a cinematic that reveals Ethereals have gotten their hands on the Dark Heart relic, showing an Ethereal holding.
Again, if looking back here, like there is a rounded shape to what he's looking at here. I think this is Caresh. The more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, this looks like a planet that was swallowed up by the void, and this is like some kind of massive, like dark hole void, kind of thing that sucked up the planet entirely. So, man, What's he doing? What's the plan?
Art relic, showing an ethereal holding the relic looking over a precipice of void, which many players assume potentially could be the
Yeah.
home world of Ethereals.
I tried to look here because if you remember, the Dark Heart tends to show things sometimes. If you remember when they took on the soul of Galakron, right? When the essence of Galakron got put into the Dark Heart, there was like an outline of a dragon head in here. So I was looking to see like what's the outline of. It doesn't look like there's anything right now. It just looks like some cloudy ass void shit in here. But maybe I'm missing something. I can't quite make anything out.
Being Caresh, a world that was torn apart and destroyed by a Void Lord Demencius so long ago. And we knew that in fact we will be encountering Ethereals more than once within this expansion, whether you play through the Nerebar Palace raid and towards the tail end of the raid we had with the Nexus Princess Kaveza making her way into the Queen's Court, talking to some other Ethereal that's probably the head honcho of their empire or
Right.
tribe or group or organization, whatever Ethereals really have.
And if you remember, at the end of this fight, we don't actually kill Kaiveza. She just ports out. She's like, all right, I'm done here. I'm going to leave. I got what I need. So she ports out. We never killed her, so we'll see her again.
As part of their people. But we also data mined even more items regarding Ethereals way back in the day, with some of those items hinting initially at a goblin raid, which eventually turned out to be the Undermine Zone and Liberation of Undermine instance.
Right.
But then there was also a bunch of other Ethereal themed items that hint at an Ethereal content marked as Ethereal Raid. It's a placeholder name, but it literally has the words Ethereal Raid in its original titling for some of those items. On top of it, Ethereals are a very mysterious race, but it's been around since Burning Crusades, and they've been an awesome race, and many in the community appreciate seeing them.
I think if Ethereals do become playable, those models that we saw, those redone Ethereal models, if those actually become a playable race, I'll put my money on it right now. They will be one of the most popular added races in the game, probably since Blood Elves. I think Ethereals would be. They've been asked for a long time. First off, they just look fucking badass, and that's the number one reason why anybody plays any race in this game. They just look badass. But second of all, the lore behind them is so deep. Everything about them is just really cool. People have always loved Ethereals, always wanted to be Ethereals, ever since we saw them in Netherstorm back in Burning Crusade. So if they add them to the game, I could imagine them being, one of the most popular races in the game.
Them
They'd
here
certainly
and
be
there
both
throughout
factions
expansions. Too. For most players, they usually appear as vendors or simple quest givers or helping us acquire unique items for certain expansions, or maybe even just transmog our items. But what's cool about them is some of the history, the story, and how it's so mysterious where they come from, what they are, kind of where the people are scattered in. But players usually get excited when they see them show back up again, and Kaveza showing up in Nerebar Palace was a really awesome moment that made us think, okay, we're definitely going to be diving a little bit more.
I wonder what those skulls on, I never even noticed those, Locust Walker's belt are. He's got like 2 skulls right here. He also has a book on the other side behind my head right here. Interesting, though. What the hell are those? Are those ethereal skulls? Because they used to probably have skulls before they got blasted by the void. Interesting.
More into Ethereals, and it's going to be really cool to explore a little bit of their backdrop, which we usually can really derive from just quest text mostly, but it would be really cool to go back to the homeworld and explore that type of like broken up culture. And it's not like we've done it before. I mean, in Legion we literally went to Argus, so traveling through space and time to a broken up world, it's not really out of the realm of possibility for what we've been able to do in the past. And I imagine a lot of players would be super excited to see exactly more regarding the Ethereals, the home world, the culture, the history, and the environments that potentially may have left the world as part of an 11.2 update.
Yeah, Sam, you love Ouroboros brokers more than Ethereal. You take that back. Delete that shit from chat right now. The brokers are just fucking a poor man's Ethereal. They weren't even that cool.
A while ago too, we also data mined a bunch of Ethereal customization options. Like the Ethereals themselves got some brand new models and quite a lot of additional details to them. To some degree, you can actually see this detail right now if you've gotten Kaiveza's toy trinket. Okay, I don't have the toy in the PTR, but I will get some footage over from the live realms, but you can more or less see the models.
This toy convinces me even more that they're going to be playable because, first of all, it transforms you into an Ethereal. There's a whole bunch of shit behind this toy. Every time you use it, well, you don't get the toy. It's from a trinket. Every time it's procs, there's a chance that an Ethereal randomly procs as well. If you can kill that Ethereal when it does proc, the Ethereal drops the toy that'll allow you to transform into one. Now, the crazy thing about this transformation is there's casting animations and all kinds of shit for it. So all that stuff was put into the game with these new models. I don't imagine Blizzard doing all that work and not making these guys eventually playable, because that's what this is essentially is. This is a playable ethereal when you get this trinket toy.
They don't look as good on live, but what we've been able to data mine from PTR has been highly detailed, and they have a lot of customization options to them. Normally when they add NPCs, and likely we'll see Ethereals as walking NPCs, vendors, and enemies for us to fight against, they usually get a handful of appearance presets, just enough to create a little bit of variety, but with so many characters being kind of like a backdrop character, they don't really get too many new options. However, Ethereals look fairly detailed, and they seem to have a number of new customization options. Many players have wondered and begun to wonder if Ethereals might be made up potentially a playable race going forward. And when a brand new race gets a lot of details added to them with a ton of different presets and ton of different combinations, sometimes it does mean that Blizz is attempting to make them a playable option.
Yeah,
not
true.
always, however, but it's one of those things that got players speculating, and there are a few signs that can show us that, yeah, they might potentially be making these guys possibly playable. But to make a race properly playable though, it needs to have a couple of different features. One of them, lots of customization options, usually being one indicator. So if a race has a lot of detailed variability in terms of how you can customize and change up their looks, and if they have like a lot of details on the actual skeleton, the textures, all of those things, usually that detail is meant to be played as a player rather than be put as a backdrop, which usually is what they do with NPCs.
Yes, his reasoning is right, but it's also wrong because of the Tuskar. Unfortunately, when we got the new Tuskar models, or the hyper-detailed Tuskar in Dragonflight, I was like, that's it, guys. We're getting playable Tuskar. It's going to happen. We've got, like, all this customization on the tusks. We got different versions of the tusk, different versions of the mustache, different colors. We even got a mounted version. Literally, the Tuskar have a little otter mount that they have the animations for and everything. So I thought for sure, playable Tuskar coming. There's no way that they're not anymore. And then guess what happened? Or what didn't happen? We didn't get playable Tuskar. So he's right that usually you need all that to become a playable race, but at the same time, having all of that doesn't guarantee it's going to be a playable race, unfortunately.
Also, if a race can potentially wear current armor that's available in the game and can equip it, and it actually shows up on their model, that's usually another indicator that says that maybe this thing is meant to be playable. Kind of like how the Heroneer, which can actually fully wear all of the new War Within items, because they essentially have a night elf, troll-ish skeleton, but they're able to wear all of the current armor that we can wear right now, which would make them a possible candidate for an allied race, for instance. And I'm also surprised that we haven't gotten Heroneer as an allied race yet, but maybe they're saving that for potentially a 0.7 update, maybe sometime in the future. Who knows, really? However, that's also not always the case, though, as Naga and Vrykul can technically wear all of the normal items that we can, shoulders, and even for Naga, certain items can wrap around their tails, like shoes, for example. But even if those things can be worn by those races, they are not playable. They're still
those are two other races a lot of people have wanted for a long time. Add Naga, Vrykul, ogres. People have wanted ogres for a long time. That those were supposed to be an original race. I'm trying to think of other ones that people have always wanted. Those are probably some of the top ones for sure, and I think Ethereals are at the top, honestly.
Still missing one little string
and I mentioned
that
Tuskar.
does make them a little playable. It's something that just programmed internally in that race optimization that allows it to be piloted by a player. It is something that was there for Kultirans, the Zandalari, the Volpera, and all the other allied races that players could actually play. And I guess the question is, will Ethereals possibly have this one thing in them? Because this seems to be the main key element that certain races are just missing that cannot be played, but it is something that is crucial in order to make them finally playable. Right now it is very difficult to tell with Ethereals. We don't really have access to them in terms of data mining until we get a proper PTR build for 11.2. Then maybe we'll get an idea, but many players have begun to wonder if they're getting so many details as potentially to make them as a playable option. If they did, I think they would make for awesome rogues, void hunters, and even
I mean, come on. He's going to say rogues, hunters, there is one specific spec that you should play if you play Ethereal. Shadow Priest. If you're an Ethereal Shadow Priest, I mean, you are lore-bound as a fucking badass. Not to mention, probably their racials also have some shadowy, voidish shit. They will, at least, once they create them. So, That to me would be the S tier version of an Ethereal. Ethereal Shadow Priest. I mean, my God,
Shadow
perfect.
Priest. And I love the idea of
He
what
just
kind
said
of
it.
ratios they may have, because you could really do something creative with all the different void themes that you could do between passives and active abilities to boot. And I think a lot of players would be
Yeah,
excited
Arcane
if
Mage.
they were potentially be made as an allied race. Maybe a little early, but if you were to add Ethereals as a playable option at any point, a big Ethereal patch would be the best time to do it if they were planning on adding any more allied races for the War Within expansion. But with the expansion of Midnight and Fallout's War Within being a heavily void versus light themed expansion, that would also be another excellent time to possibly add Ethereals if they were planning on doing so. No confirmation given by Blizz just yet, but it's still fun to theorize and hypothesize as to what an Ethereal playable version could be and how they could potentially achieve it going forward. As part of the roadmap that we have for 11.2, they also list new open world challenges, which is very different than new open world events. We know they're beginning a brand new zone, which will likely be filled with rares and events and world quests and a variety of other activities, very similar to what we saw in Undermine or previous new zones that got added for previous expansions.
Yeah, the really cool thing about Caresh too is if we get that as the new zone, you know, opposite what's it called, like a root lands, would be like finally like we're going back above ground. That'd be really cool because right now we've been underground for a while. I mean, we even went deeper now into Undermined and all that stuff. So it's been fine. I love the Undermined zone. I think it's a great freaking zone, well designed. It doesn't feel I don't know. There's nothing really depressing about it, even though it's underground and kind of smoggy and all that. It's just so, it's such a cool zone that I'm enjoying my time in it. But I would love to go back to above ground. So going to Caresh would be a really cool because you're above ground again. You're on another planet. I think it'd be a nice refresh kind of for this expansion.
But they added specific
Rather
area
than
called new
Rootlands.
open world that challenges specifically. So I imagine it would be something that's added to make open world content just a little bit harder, but potentially more rewarding. Like technically could fill out your Great Vault by doing open world activities, and maybe they could add some harder challenges in the open world to allow you to get better rewards in your Great Vault, which I think would be very, very exciting. I imagine that would be something similar to maybe what we saw in Dragonflight events, like a portal to the future that's overtaken by Primalists and Elementalists that you could do with a Bronze Dragonflight, which actually served, at least early in the expansion, as quite a bit of a difficulty. We had to hold out these ports against fairly strong elite enemies that you could not tackle solo. Even as a tank, some players were struggling with it, and you really needed other players and some group coordination to be able to fight off the threat, to fight a sizably strong boss that could one-shot players, but had mechanics that were clearly visible. Or like a flame druid invasion that they had, and early on you could do either smaller tasks to fill up a bar very, very slowly, or fight really difficult elite enemies for many players with some of the best gear at the time to actually have a bit of a harder time fighting them. But if you did defeat them, you get the pretty big sizable upgrade towards your progress bar, where then you were able to summon a final boss, which was also quite difficult. So I wonder if that's kind of where they're heading into, is trying to add some extra content for open world stuff, but add a little bit extra difficulty, but potentially better rewards, because players are not completely allergic to higher difficulty content. Like look at Delve players who ask for them to have a reason to dive into tier 11 Delves, and they increase the rewards from those.
That's true.
And players are more than happy to meet the challenge of a tier 11 Delves.
Caresh would make more sense in Midnight, maybe. It could be a Midnight thing too, but Midnight's getting very elvy. You know, it's supposed to be all about the elves and everything. I don't know if they swap it up and then make it about another race too. I think the whole revamp of the entirety of the northern part of the Eastern Kingdoms will be plenty exciting for the Midnight expansion. So we'll see. But Caresh, it's going to happen eventually. I just don't know when. I'd love it to see it in 11.2.
And all the enemies and elites and forces that are inside of those delves to be able to overcome them, but for better rewards. And I imagine they could do something like this for open world content, which might be as part of a 11.2 update. They also want to do big seasonal reward refresh this time around. If I really able to do Mythic Plus, raiding, or PvP, this could be potentially a really, really great scenario. For raids, I imagine they're basically just going to do the Galatio track for raids, but add a variety of different rewards, especially if this thing is successful. I mean, the fact that you can raid and there are mounts and pets and variety of different cosmetics and bonuses from raid, and eventually, hopefully, a dinar type of token so you can have some bad luck protection to get some of the best slot gear for your character.
The raid renown track will continue. I think I think people like it right now. Adding the mounts on there and everything that they have, it's gonna be something great going forward too. So I don't imagine the renown track ever going away for raids anymore. I think that's gonna happen every single season now.
That would be amazing to see. So they'll likely continue to evolve on that system if it's successful for Liberation of Undermine. For Mythic Plus, they actually did add some new rewards, sorta, for the season. They gave players a reason to push some of the harder content with the legend rewards, giving us a recolor of the KSM mount. I think it just could be potentially a starting point, though, into what other rewards they could add for future seasons. What if they had rotating set of rewards that they added as seasons went on? Maybe one season they gave us a recolor of a legend version of the KSM mount. But maybe next season they could change it up, so instead of a new mount, it's maybe a transmog set, like a customizable one, or a cosmetic one that all classes can wear, but a unique one for unlocking only through Mythic Plus content. Maybe a new unique set of class weapons that you can't get anywhere else, only through Mythic Plus. Maybe even a new weapon enchant, very similar to what PvPers have, but have like a Mythic Plus exclusive one for getting Legend that one season, and then rotate these rewards with every season, so then when players want to play Mythic Plus and they're just there for the Legend reward, they have something new to look forward to every single season. Whether it is slight recolors or slightly new animations, slightly new models, I think stuff like that could really go a long way. And for PvPers, there's a lot of players that are calling for a variety of different rewards for PvP group content, like 2v2 and 3v3 comp-based arenas, to get more players involved into that content. It seems like
that's true, Monarch. You're right. We did see the new tabards where they will be upgraded, like aesthetically, as you advance. So yeah, they're already working on that stuff. You're right.
like a lot of players are competing in solo content, but there's a lot of players in the PvP community that would love to see a revitalization of the 2v2 and 3v3 brackets. So giving them putting some smaller intermediary rewards that players can reach fairly easy for, like, 1600 rating, 1800, 2k, 2100, anything like that, to encourage more participation in those brackets. This is what a lot of PvPers would love to see. But with that, for now, that is all that we know so far of patch 11.2. And right now, until we get a proper PTR for this build, we have a lot of guesses, speculations, and ideas floating around as to what this patch could be. But it being potentially an ethereal-focused experience, I think could be a lot of fun. It gives me an ideas of what places we may visit and what type of environments we may go to. And there's a lot of opportunity for them to really redefine some of the rewards, some of the challenges, some of the activities that you can maybe experience out in the open world. And hopefully we'll start seeing glimpses of this type of content in the future, especially with 11.2 possibly being the last season of War Within expansion. It's possible that they could potentially, instead of having like a fourth Faded season, have 3 proper seasons and then lead us into the next expansion.
Yeah, Faded seasons were due to a lack of content, and we don't have that anymore. And we already said that these expansions are going to be quicker than the 2-year expansion cadence, so there's no way we get a what's it called? A redo season this time around.
That is a midnight, which would potentially give us more content to experience at a much faster rate, instead of giving us some holdover content to enjoy while the next expansion is still waiting to cook in the oven. But as always though, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found the discussion informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community for any of the future updates for patch 11.1 or any of the season 2 content or any of the patch notes when it comes to classes and tuning within the season. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you like to play an Ethereal at some point, either as a end of 11.2 or possibly heading into midnight, or would you rather have another race like the Haronier or something else
Hell no.
entirely?
The fuck would
Let me
want
know
the
those thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.
Yeah, nice video. I can't imagine a person who would request the Haronier to be a playable race over the Ethereals. That'd be absolutely insane. But I think it's going to happen. Ethereals coming. I think we're going to get some kind of Ethereal patch, Ethereal raid. Go to Caresh. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm hoping we see. Nice video here from Dalaran Gaming.